From Italy, Ineos now strongly considering Jadon Sancho swap deal that'd see decisive playmaker join United. Welcome back to United News, your most trusted source for Manchester United transfer news. We know you count on us to cut through the noise and bring you the real stories that matter. Today, we have some fascinating news coming from Italy that could solve two problems for Manchester United in one clever move. Picture this: Manchester United finally finding a way to move on Jadon Sancho while bringing in a proven Premier League midfielder who knows exactly what it takes to succeed in English football. Sound too good to be true? Well, according to reports from Italy, this dream scenario might actually be closer to reality than you think. The swap deal that makes perfect sense. Italian sources are reporting that Juventus are seriously considering offering Douglas Luiz to Manchester United as part of a swap deal for Jadon Sancho. And here's the kicker: Ineos are apparently strongly considering this proposal. Why does this deal make so much sense for United? Let's break it down. Sancho has been a problem that United have been trying to solve for months. He spent last season on loan at Chelsea, who chose to pay a fine rather than make his move permanent. That tells you everything you need to know about how his stock has fallen. Meanwhile, Douglas Luiz is a player who was absolutely brilliant for Aston Villa before his move to Juventus last summer. He was the kind of midfielder who could control games, create chances, and provide the creativity that United have been desperately missing. But here's where it gets really interesting. Luiz's time in Italy hasn't gone according to plan. He's found himself on the bench more often than not, making only 3 league starts all season. For a player of his quality, that's simply not acceptable. He needs to be playing regularly, and United could offer him that opportunity. Why Sancho needs to leave United? Let's be honest about Jadon Sancho's situation at Manchester United. It's over. The relationship between player and club has broken down completely, and there's no way back. Remember how excited everyone was when United finally signed him from Borussia Dortmund for a massive fee back in 2021? The club had been chasing him for years, and fans thought they were getting one of Europe's most promising young talents. But it just never worked out. Whether it was the pressure, the playing style, or personal issues, Sancho never looked comfortable at Old Trafford. His performances were inconsistent at best, and his attitude became a problem under previous managers. The loan spell at Chelsea last season was supposed to be a fresh start, but even that didn't work out well enough for them to want to keep him permanently. When a club that desperate for attacking talent chooses to send a player back rather than buy him, you know there are serious concerns. Now Sancho is entering the final year of his contract, and United need to cash in while they still can. Keeping an unhappy player who doesn't want to be there helps nobody. Douglas Luiz, the midfielder United need. So who exactly is Douglas Luiz, and why should United fans be excited about potentially signing him? Douglas Luiz is a 27-year-old Brazilian midfielder who spent 4 successful years at Aston Villa before moving to Juventus last summer. During his time at Villa, he was absolutely crucial to their success under Unai Emery. Think about what Villa achieved with Luiz in their team. They qualified for the Champions League for the first time in decades, and he played a huge role in making that happen. Villa's president Monchi wasn't exaggerating when he called Luiz decisive, and said that every ball that came off his feet had meaning. What makes Luiz so special? He's exactly the type of midfielder that United have been missing. He can sit deep and control the tempo of games, but he's also creative enough to unlock tight defenses with a perfectly weighted pass. His range of passing is excellent, and he has the technical ability to play in Ruben Amorim's system. The Brazilian made 175 appearances for Villa, so he knows the Premier League inside and out. There would be no adjustment period needed, unlike some foreign signings who take months to adapt to English football. Why the deal makes sense for both clubs. From Juventus's perspective, this swap deal is perfect. They get rid of a player who hasn't worked out in their system and bring in someone who could add pace and creativity to their attack. Sancho might not have succeeded at United or Chelsea, but he still has talent, and Serie A might suit his style better. Italian football is generally more tactical and less physical than the Premier League. That could play to Sancho's strengths and help him rediscover the form that made him so exciting at Borussia Dortmund. For United, getting Luiz would solve a major problem in midfield. While they've signed some good players recently, they still lack that deep-lying playmaker who can control games from the base of midfield. Luiz has proven he can do exactly that in the Premier League. The financial side makes sense too. Juventus paid around £42 million for Luiz last summer, while United are reportedly valuing Sancho at £25 million. A straight swap might not be completely even, but both clubs would save money on transfer fees and wages. What went wrong for Luiz at Juventus? It's worth understanding why Douglas Luiz hasn't succeeded at Juventus, because it actually makes the case for him joining United even stronger. Luiz joined Juventus at a difficult time for the club. They were rebuilding after some disappointing seasons, and the midfield was already crowded with established players. Getting regular game time was always going to be challenging. Add to that some injury problems that kept him out for extended periods, and it's easy to see why his first season in Italy didn't go to plan. But here's the key point. His struggles had nothing to do with ability. When he did play, he showed the same quality that made him so valuable at Villa. Sometimes players just don't fit at certain clubs, and that seems to be the case with Luiz at Juventus. It doesn't mean he's not a good player anymore. It just means he needs the right environment to show his best form. United could provide that environment. Under Amorim's system, Luiz would have a clear role and the freedom to express himself creatively. He wouldn't be competing with as many established stars for his position. How Luiz would fit into Amorim's system. Ruben Amorim's tactical approach at United has been impressive so far, but he still needs the right players to make his system work perfectly. Luiz could be exactly what he's been looking for in midfield. Amorim likes his teams to build play from the back, with midfielders who are comfortable receiving the ball under pressure and distributing it quickly and accurately. Luiz has all those qualities in abundance. His experience in the Premier League would be invaluable too. He knows how to handle the physical demands of English football and understands the pace and intensity required. That's not something you can teach, it has to be learned through experience. The Brazilian would also bring leadership qualities to a relatively young United midfield. At 27, he's entering his prime years as a player, and his experience at the highest level would be valuable for the younger players around him. The timeline and what happens next. According to the Italian reports, these discussions are still in the early stages, but both clubs seem genuinely interested in making something happen. Juventus need to move players on to fund other transfers, while United want to solve the Sancho problem once and for all. The fact that Ineos are strongly considering the deal suggests this isn't just newspaper speculation. When United's ownership group takes a serious look at a potential transfer, it usually means there's genuine interest. Timing could be crucial here. Both players are currently with their respective clubs for pre-season training, but neither seems to have a long-term future where they are. Getting a deal done sooner rather than later would benefit everyone involved. Italian journalist Giovanni Albanese, who is well connected with Juventus, has been reporting that United like Luiz as a profile. That's significant because it suggests United have been doing their homework on the player and see him as a good fit. Other players Juventus have offered. Interestingly, Luiz isn't the only player Juventus have offered to United in potential deals. They've also mentioned Timothy Weah and Dusan Vlahovic as possible makeweights in a Sancho transfer. But Luiz seems to be the player that has caught United's attention most. That makes sense when you consider what United need. They don't really need another striker with their recent signings, and Weah hasn't proven himself at the highest level yet. Luiz, on the other hand, addresses a specific need in United's squad while offering Premier League experience and proven quality. It's exactly the kind of smart, targeted signing that successful clubs make. The financial benefits. One aspect of this potential deal that hasn't been discussed enough is the financial benefits for United. Getting Sancho's wages off the books would free up significant resources for other transfers or contract renewals. Sancho is reportedly one of United's highest earners, but his contribution on the pitch hasn't justified those wages for some time. Replacing him with Luiz, who would probably cost less in wages, makes financial sense. There's also the question of transfer fees. If United can do a straight swap, they avoid having to pay a large fee for Luiz while still getting a quality player. In today's inflated transfer market, that's smart business. What this means for United's transfer strategy. If this deal goes through, It would be another sign that United are finally getting their transfer strategy right. Instead of chasing unrealistic targets or overpaying for players, they're being smart and opportunistic. The potential Luiz signing fits perfectly with United's recent approach of targeting players who know the Premier League and can make an immediate impact. No adjustment period needed, no questions about whether they can handle English football. This is exactly the kind of deal that shows Ineos are learning from past mistakes. Rather than throwing money at problems, they're finding creative solutions that benefit the club both on and off the pitch. Fan expectations and reality. United fans should be cautiously optimistic about this potential deal. Luiz is a good player who could genuinely improve the team, but he's not going to single-handedly transform United into title contenders. What he would provide is stability and quality in midfield, two things that United have been lacking for too long. Sometimes the best signings aren't the most glamorous ones. They're the ones that make the team function better as a unit. If United can get Luiz while moving on Sancho, it would represent excellent business. They'd be solving a problem while adding quality to an area that needs strengthening. Conclusion: a deal that benefits everyone. The potential swap deal between Jadon Sancho and Douglas Luiz makes sense for all parties involved. United get rid of a player who doesn't want to be there and bring in someone who could genuinely improve their midfield. Juventus get a player who might thrive in Serie A while moving on someone who hasn't fit their system. For Luiz, it would mean a return to the Premier League where he was so successful with Villa. For Sancho, it might provide the fresh start he needs to rediscover his best form. Whether this deal actually happens remains to be seen, but the fact that serious discussions are taking place shows that both clubs are thinking creatively about their transfer business. That's exactly what you want to see from a well-run football club. We'll continue to follow this story closely and bring you all the latest updates as they develop. Remember, at United News, we always give you the real story behind the headlines. Thanks for reading, and we'll see you next time for more exclusive Manchester United transfer news and analysis.